Hey, what's going on, everyone? I'm talking about the brand new PS5 system software update 25.06.12.00.43. Yeah, I know the numbers are a mouthful, but stick with me because this is more than just another stability patch. This is the one that's going to change the way we use our controllers and even how much power your console consumes when you're in the middle of some of the biggest blockbuster games coming up. So let's unpack all of this in a chill, conversational way, because there's a lot more going on here than just hitting update now on your system menu. First up, the headline feature, and honestly, the thing that caught me off guard in the best way is controller pairing across multiple devices. Now, if you've been around PlayStation for a while, you already know how annoying it can be when you want to use your DualSense controller on something other than the PS5. Maybe you want to use it with your PC, or maybe you're someone who likes cloud gaming on your phone, or you want to swap it to a laptop quickly for some remote play. Up until now, you had to unpair and then repair every single time. And let's be real, it was clunky. With this new update, Sony finally said, okay, enough is enough. And they're giving us the ability to link our DualSense or DualSense Edge controller to 4 devices at the same time. 4 devices. That means you can literally keep your PS5 as your home base, have it linked to your PC for when you're playing Steam games or using remote play, have it connected to your phone for PlayStation app streaming, and maybe even have another slot reserved for a second console like the upcoming PS5 Pro or just another PS5 in a different room. What makes this even better is that switching between these devices isn't going to require you to open up menus or reset anything. Instead, you're using a simple button combo right on the controller itself. You hold the PlayStation button plus one of the face buttons for a few seconds, and that instantly switches the active device. Each face button is tied to a different slot. So imagine slot 1 is your PS5 with PS Plus triangle, slot 2 is a PS5 Pro with PS Plus circle, slot 3 is a Windows PC with PS Plus cross, and slot 4 is your iPhone with PS Plus square. Hold the combo, wait a few seconds, and the controller just flips to that device. The light bar and the player indicator on the controller confirm it so you know exactly where you're connected. For anyone who has ever tried to juggle multiple devices, this is a game changer. I can't overstate how much smoother this is going to make daily gaming. Now, beyond controllers, the other big feature here is the new power saver option. At first glance, this might sound like some throwaway eco-friendly feature, but there's actually more depth to it than you'd expect. Sony is adding an actual mode in the system settings under power saving called Use Power Saver. What this does is reduce your console's energy consumption in certain supported games by scaling back some performance aspects. The cool part is that it's not just randomly cutting your system down, it's being integrated into games that officially support it. Sony even mentioned a few titles already, including Death Stranding 2, On the Beach, Demon's Souls, and Ghost of Yōtei. So when those games come out, or if you already own the remade Demon's Souls, you'll be able to toggle power saver and actually feel good knowing your PS5 is pulling less power without completely wrecking your experience. Now, obviously, this won't be for everyone. If you're the kind of player who demands the absolute max frame rate and the sharpest graphics at all times, power saver might not be something you turn on. But think about it this way. Maybe you're just exploring or doing some story-heavy moments in Death Stranding 2 where visuals are already breathtaking and you don't need every ounce of GPU power, or you're farming in Demon's Souls where performance spikes don't matter as much. In those cases, this mode is perfect. Sony also tied this feature into their broader Road to Zero initiative, which is their big corporate plan to reach net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2040. That might sound corporate-y, but it actually makes sense that they're building this kind of option into the console now. So by the time 2040 rolls around, gaming as a whole will be way more energy efficient. And I know some of you are already wondering, okay, but how much power is this actually going to save? That's the big question, and honestly, we won't know until people start testing it across different games. But based on how Sony has framed this, it's probably a noticeable drop. Even if it's something like 20 to 30 watts less during gameplay, multiply that across millions of PS5 owners, and it makes a real difference. Plus, think about your own electricity bill. If you're someone who plays every night, that adds up over the months. It's one of those features that you don't necessarily think about all the time, but once you realize you're saving money while still playing the same games, you're going to leave it on. So that's the big picture. Controller pairing across multiple devices and power saver for supported games, but there are smaller details worth talking about too. Sony didn't announce a ton of hidden changes, but historically, these firmware updates also include background performance improvements, stability tweaks, and little bug fixes that don't make it into the patch notes. Anyone who's had issues with HDMI handshakes, controller disconnects, or weird UI hiccups should definitely update, because even though those aren't advertised, they're often addressed quietly in updates like this. Now let's talk about how to actually update your PS5, because I know not everyone automatically installs it the moment it comes out. If you want to update through the console itself, make sure you're connected to the internet. Go to the settings menu on the home screen, then scroll down to System, and from there, go into System Software. You'll see System Software Update and Settings, then choose Update using Internet. The console checks for the update, downloads it, and then prompts you to install. It'll restart during the installation, so don't panic when your screen goes black. That's just part of the process. But maybe your internet is unreliable or you just want a clean offline update. That's where the USB option comes in. To do this, grab a USB drive and format it to FAT32. On your computer, make a folder named PS5. Then inside that folder, create another one called Update. Download the update file directly from the official PlayStation site and save it into the update folder with the name ps5update.pop. Plug the USB into your PS5, boot the console into safe mode by holding the power button until you hear the second beep, and then from the safe mode menu, choose Update System Software, followed by Update from USB storage device. Once it finishes, your PS5 restarts and you're good to go. This is a method that hardcore players or people who mod their setups often prefer because it gives you more control over when and how the update is installed. Thinking a bit about the bigger picture here, it's really interesting to see Sony focusing on features like these in late 2025. It tells me two things. First, the PS5's life cycle isn't anywhere near done. If anything, this update feels like it's setting the stage for the PS5 Pro because the slot assignments literally reference that console as a default pairing option. Sony is essentially preparing the ecosystem so when the Pro arrives, your current controllers and systems are already speaking the same language. That makes the transition seamless, which is exactly what they need if they want people to upgrade without frustration. Second, the power saver option fits into this longer-term vision of sustainability. It's not just a gimmick. It's the kind of foundation feature that will probably expand as more developers adopt it. By the time we're looking at PS6 or whatever comes next, power management might be a much bigger selling point than it is today. And while this update is new, let's not forget about what's come before. Earlier in the year, Sony rolled out a major update that added open and closed parties, improved UI elements, introduced new accessibility options, a spam notification, and even enhanced the PlayStation app and remote play capabilities. This new update doesn't add as many features on the surface, but the ones it does add are arguably more impactful day to day. Controller pairing across multiple devices is something you'll use constantly if you own more than one platform, and Power Saver is something that could quietly run in the background and save you money every single month. That's bigger than just a flashy UI tweak. I think what excites me most is imagining how this controller pairing will feel in practice. Imagine you're on your PS5 Pro in the living room. You pause your game, and then a few seconds later, you're at your desk switching the same controller to your PC for some remote play. No cables, no menus, no repairing. Or picture being on a long trip, pulling out your phone, and in just 3 seconds, your DualSense is linked to it. It's little quality of life things like this that make gaming smoother and more enjoyable. And honestly, once you get used to it, you'll wonder how you ever managed before. So yeah, this is the PS5 System Software Update 25.06/12.0000.43. And while it might just look like a bunch of numbers, the truth is this update is all about giving you more flexibility and a bit more control over how your console behaves. Whether it's stretching the value of your controller across multiple devices or cutting down your power consumption while still enjoying massive games, it feels like Sony is starting to really refine the PS5 experience.